Now, I know majority of people are out there, and I mean, you go to school, you start from primary, you go all to tertiary, and then you come out and you look for a job. Now, education plays a very key role in our lives as individuals. If you're talking about empowered individuals, you're talking about enlightened individuals, you're talking about individuals that reason and think, you're looking at critical thinking skills. Education plays a key role. And if you're looking at higher education, I'm talking about the tertiary level, universities, it's crucial. Some people start from basic and are not able to get there, are not able to afford it and all that. But that finishing line is very, very important. That is a stage that is super important. The affordability to such education, the quality of the education being offered at such stage is something that everybody should be looking at. And one of such key people that are actually very concerned and worried and have taken it upon themselves to ensure that university education should be affordable, not just affordable, but then accessible, and then also should lead to employment. I mean, we can all see the rate of unemployment in certain parts in different countries, and we see what it's doing to the youth and to the people out there. Is Edoofa. Edoofa has a scholarship program, and they're looking at making university education affordable, accessible. They're also particular about the quality of education being offered at university levels, and that is why they have the Edoofa scholarship program. Now, my colleague Brian Musa already had an interview with them. We're going to be jumping straight to look at, the discussion they had, and then we'll be right back with my co-host in the studio.
Mr. Angad Singh, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Apologies if
It
I.
is.
Okay, super.
No, no. My name is Angad Singh, and you pronounced it well.
Fantastic. So, you are the founder and director of Edoofa. Tell us about Edoofa and tell us about Edoofa first of all, and then Edoofa Scholarship Program, and what makes Edoofa unique.
Well, thank you, Barry, for the question. Well, the Edoofa Scholarship Program is a unique work-study program through which our students, like Valerie here, they're awarded scholarships to study their dream courses in our partner Indian colleges through a 50 to 100% scholarship that almost entirely covers their tuition fees. And the reason we are able to get these scholarships for our students is because of our partnerships with these colleges that mandate that our students to participate in part-time digital work after the completion of college hours. Not only does this part-time work help students in acquiring skills and getting exposure, but they are also able to earn scholarship credits that further reduces their cost of education, practically self-financing their own higher education. And this work study aspect, which makes higher education for our students both affordable as well as employable, is what makes Edoofa scholarship program so unique.
Right.
A lot of our students are getting the highest quality education, international exposure for even less than what they would spend at a local university in Africa. And I believe that really is very unique.
Absolutely. That is very unique. And what I find much interesting here is the fact that it prepares one for the job market right after, graduation. And then again, the issue of affordability here. Because, when we talk about quality education, one is already assuming that there is that high expenditure to be spent. One would want to get the quality things in life. I mean, they say good things doesn't come easy, so you need to spend more. But a DOFA scholarship in this regard is the vice versa. Good, top-notch education, affordable wage. That's very, very interesting and very laudable, I must say, Mr. Singh. Tell me, what's the story? Because, I mean, out of the goodness of your heart, you just woke up one day and decided that, hey, let me help, students from Africa, Asia. What's the story behind the DUFA?
Right, right. No, it's very interesting that you asked this. Well, our parent organization has been in the education space for more than 12 years now. And we've been working in this space with over 250 Indian universities and colleges during this time. And our
Right.
focus over the years has been to improve employability of graduates that study in those universities. So our focus has always been on improving the employability of these graduates. But what we have also realized that over time, over these last 2 decades, that the costs of getting a college education have really spiraled out of control. and it has meant that only two kinds of students can have access to quality education. One who are among either fall into the top 10% of the brightest students,
Mm-hmm.
or those who come from really wealthy backgrounds.
Right.
And that to us is doesn't seem right. and
Mm.
and and we sincerely believe quality education should be accessible to all, and it should not just be a privilege of a few. And
Absolutely.
it has also, on the other hand, become this sort of a great paradox. I'm sure, Barry, you would agree that on one hand,
Mm.
the internet has made it possible for anyone and everyone to get access to just about any kind of knowledge.
Absolutely.
We live in an era where it's very easy to self-educate.
Exactly.
We are connected. Look at how we are connected today on the internet.
Mm.
And yet, getting quality higher education has become that much more difficult. In
Exactly.
fact, I think never before in human history was getting access to information this easy and free.
Mm.
And yet, I believe never before in human history was getting access to quality education this difficult and expensive. And
Absolutely.
this is something that as an organization
Mm.
we are out to change.
That's absolutely amazing. I must say that's a humanitarian, in terms of education, pretty high. But so the reason behind the setup is based on to increase employability of graduates. The issue of high cost of education. So the whole story started from that angle. Is that it? You had partners, talked about Edoofa, came up with the name. Is
Absolutely.
that it?
Right, absolutely. We started with a vision of improving employability,
Mm.
and while we were doing that, we understood that the highest quality education, the best universities, are always restricted to the top 10% of the minds.
Mm.
Either the students who are able to get, who are able to ace competitive exams
Right.
at their school level, and
Mm-hmm.
they can, entrance level exams, and they can get admission into these top universities,
Mm.
or those where parents can afford to send them to private institutions.
Right.
So what was happening was there was a huge gap.
Oh,
There
yeah,
still is,
exactly.
I believe, there's a
Mm.
tremendous gap and potential to, and technology has brought that opportunity,
Right.
that the best teachers available,
Mm.
that their education can be shared with everyone.
Okay.
But we still believe that there was no mechanism or model for that. And
Right.
by tying up with universities,
Mm.
we bring in the employability aspect to the universities, and therefore we are able to take some seats. It's like a barter system. We bring the employability to them, and we undertake the seats, underwrite those seats for our Edoofa students. By
Right.
the way, we call them Edoofians. So Valerie here is
Edoofians.
an Edoofian,
Right.
and we are able to secure these seats on scholarships with these universities, because we are bringing employability to them.
Right.
And
Right.
we've created this win-win-win model where all stakeholders win, and especially at the core, our students benefit.
All right. So, but before we continue, what is it? Is it an abbreviation? Edoofa? What does it?
Yes, it stands for education for all.
Education for all. Great. Great.
Yeah,
Great.
right.
All
And,
right.
and and the double O in between. So our parent organization is called Anhad Edutrain Solutions. Anhad in our local language means limitless. So that
Limitless.
has been our theme, that to leverage technology
Oh.
and the globalized world that we live in, to
Mm.
be able to leverage that power to
Right.
provide infinite opportunities to people.
To
And
people.
so the double O, if you see in the logo of Edoofa,
Mm.
stands for infinite, and
Okay.
and then the acronym is education for all.
Right. Super. Yeah. So let's get on to let's go a bit further. It's all about scholarship. You definitely wouldn't just go or receive applications and start offering admissions and what have you. Who qualifies to benefit from Edoofa scholarship?
Right, right. So we do look for meritorious students who are both academically inclined, but
Okay.
are also all rounders.
Mm.
Most importantly, we look for students who have shown an inclination to work hard, since it's a rigorous program. And over the years, the admission cycles have become even more strenuous. When we started off, we were sort of open to all, and then we still are. We are open to all. Everybody can apply. The application process is
Okay.
entirely free of cost.
Mm.
We have a very robust counseling team
Mm.
who provides free career counseling to everyone who applies for the Edoofa program. And
Right.
then in the interview process, we look for students who are really hardworking and who have shown an inclination to work at a high level. I
Right.
must also point out that we look for students' competence in totality. And what I mean by that is, alongside academics and grades at school, we also look at excellence in sports, in
Okay.
arts, in other curricular activities.
Mm.
We are also What we are looking at is for a drive and willingness to succeed.
Right.
We have seen in the past that a few students, after getting scholarship, aren't as motivated to work, as they just view scholarship as some sort of a discount or a grant that reduces their
Yeah.
fees.
Yeah.
And then we have seen that how they can get into this entitlement mindset. So
Right.
our academic directors really look at other aspects that depict all-round excellence, and above all, a
Mm.
drive and commitment to use all the opportunities that we will be providing to them.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a
Great.
combination of all of that.
Absolutely. Super. I mean, I like the fact that it cuts across. You don't just necessarily look at what's on paper, but the ability, the zeal of the student, the readiness and what they are willing to put out there, how eager they are. I mean, even going further to look at sports, how the person can also participate in that. And I think that's absolutely brilliant, that your scheme education outfit is actually putting out there. There's this also gesture by you looking at full scholarship and then partial scholarship. So what are some of the instances that actually allows one to qualify for full scholarship or
Right.
partial scholarship?
Right. That's an interesting question, and I believe the listeners would get a lot of information out of it.
Mm.
See, I've traveled extensively in Africa, and believe me, over the last 5 years that we've been running the Edoofa program in Africa, our understanding of the culture has improved.
Mm.
And I realized that the word scholarship sort of means different at different places, and
Mm.
oftentimes people view scholarship as a grant or charity. For us, it's a merit-based reduction in fees, which the trusts and the charitable trusts and the funds that run the universities, we are able
Mm.
to levy that grant from them.
Right.
What we focus on is the partial or full waiver of the tuition fee.
Okay.
Normally, when students travel abroad, there are two components of their fees.
Mm.
One is the academic fees, which is the university fees, the charges to study, the tuition fees, academic fees, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
etc. And the others are the living costs, the
Yeah.
hostel costs, and so on and so
Accommodation
forth.
and what have
Our
you.
scholarships,
Mm.
our scholarships cover the tuition fees, and the quantum depends on the academic grades, on the performance of the student in our interview process.
Mm.
It ranges from 50 to 100%. A minimum being 50% is something that all our Edoofa students are guaranteed.
Right. Super. That's absolutely amazing. And I like the fact that, scholarship schemes means differently in different places. Obviously, I mean, one man's understanding wouldn't be the same as the other man. Let's talk about, slots available yearly. So about how many, scholarship slots are available for students, at Edoofa?
Right. It's interesting. When we first started offering scholarships for African students, we started with only 100 in the first year.
Mm.
And with the success of the program every year, we are fortunate to get more and more universities to offer seats to our students on scholarships. And
Right.
this current intake, the August 2021 intake, of course, we have been impacted by the pandemic, and
COVID.
the July-August intake still has about a month and a half to fill up. We
Right.
had a total of 700 African students that were offered these scholarships this year under this intake. But what you would be
700.
happy to note in that in the coming year,
Mm.
which is the intake for July and August 2022,
Mm.
we have gotten an increased allocation of 1,200 seats, which have been
Wow.
reserved for African Edoofians.
Wow. And each and every one of these would get access to a school in India. 1,200 applicants. That's amazing. So which year did you start? Which year?
So our parent organization started in 2009.
2009.
That's Angad Singh. We started working with these private universities and public institutions all across India and working on employability.
Right.
And then we were building the Edoofa program. We first launched the Edoofa program for international students in the year 2016.
Right. Now, you talked about partnering with, 250 tertiary institutions, scholarships, and what have you. Super, fantastic. But what do you look out for before you partner with these institutions? What are some of the unique things that makes them stand out for you before you get into agreement?
Right. again, a very intelligent question. Of course, you're right that we've worked with and built relationships with these many colleges.
Mm,
You must understand that India is a big country and there are a lot of institutions.
right.
And our approach has always been to partner with institutions where our students can first and foremost get the topmost education possible,
Mm-hmm.
where we can provide holistic and global learning and exposure to our students.
Mm,
But also equally important is where we can get maximum scholarships.
right.
These scholarships are grants and aids from the charitable trusts that manage these universities.
Okay.
But like I was telling you earlier, India has a lot of institutions. India is a very large country, as you are aware.
Mm,
A huge population also is being served through all these education institutions. So
right.
to govern all of that, the government of India has set up a UGC, the University Grants Commission of India, or UGC. It's a statutory body set up by the Department of Higher Education, the Ministry of Education of India.
Okay.
And it is in accordance to the UGC Act of 1956, and it is charged with coordination, determination, and maintenance of standards
Okay.
of higher education.
Mm,
So then there is also the All India Council for Technical Education, which is
okay.
known as the AICTE. And
Okay.
finally, there is the NAC accreditation. So the National Assessment and Accreditation Council is a government organization in India that assesses and accredits higher education institutions.
Right.
It is an autonomous body funded completely by the UGC. And
Mm,
all our Edoofa partner universities have mandatory be accredited by UGC
mm-hmm.
and NAC.
Right.
And they are amongst the largest, the biggest, and the finest universities in the country.
Okay, that's great. I like the fact that there has been a standard and it's been even regulated by the state, which for me, that's
Right.
absolutely convincing enough. But then here's the most important part for me: earning while you learn. Very important. I mean, I've heard about this before, but I see this thing that some of the, fraudulent kind of thing. They tell you, oh, you get to our university, you learn, you get paid. It's like, how real is that? But this is the first hand thing I'm hearing from Edoofa. Very, very interesting. Could you elaborate on that for me?
Absolutely. So I told you how Edoofa has been focusing on both affordability and employability.
Right,
Our
right.
belief is that quality education should be accessible to all and not just be a privilege of a few.
Absolutely.
Similarly, we also believe that the way internet and computer science has changed the world economy,
Mm,
we also need higher education to start creating graduates who have practical exposure
mm,
along with the right theoretical know-how.
right.
Look at the number of college graduates who are unemployed.
Mm,
It is mind-boggling,
absolutely.
and therefore, through a scholarship program that is based on a work-study model, we solve both these problems: that of the lack of affordability as well as employability in education.
Mm,
The solution is, alongside the college education, our students are mandated to work on digital work opportunities that our
right.
students undertake after their college hours.
Mm,
So the students are exposed to practical job training
okay.
right from the very first day of college.
Mm,
And while performing these tasks, our students are able to build and master 21st century job skills like communication skills,
mm,
digital marketing, remote teamwork, market research, writing skills, all these internet and digital literacy,
mm,
which especially in this virtual post-COVID world,
yeah,
these are extremely highly valued by the
absolutely.
employers all
Absolutely.
across industry, no matter which industry are you from.
Mm,
These are the skills which are dominating the job market.
right.
And so not only do our students work on these projects and acquire skills, but while they're learning,
Mm,
they're also rewarded by scholarship credits, and which
right.
further reduces the college fees. So
Right.
in India, one thing is peculiar, unlike other countries. International students on their student visa are not allowed to work on full-time jobs that can get them paid.
Okay.
If you're aware, countries like US, Canada,
Mm,
and Europe, there are opportunities for
for
students to work at restaurants and
exactly and
at
get paid.
libraries or do some menial work, right?
Exactly. Right.
However,
Right.
in India, under their curriculum, the
Mm-hmm.
students are allowed to do internships and actual job, as long as they don't get hard cash in return, because we want the students on a student visa to work.
Okay.
Edoofa has found a way out where these students, while working in their internships,
Mm,
are able to earn scholarship credits. So, it's the same way of reducing their college fees.
mm,
Let's say a student's fees is about $2,500 a year,
right.
and they work and earn about $1,000. So that brings $1,000 reduction in their
And
fees.
their fees.
So, yeah,
Mm,
it's we believe that other graduates come out of college with a loan on their hands and a
right.
basic degree,
Mm,
which most often doesn't lead to a job straight away.
Right.
Our Edoofians, on the other hand, they graduate with no financial burden on them, and
Absolutely.
also with 4 to 5 years of work experience alongside a degree.
That's
And they're ready for a job market.
exactly.
Of course, Valerie here is a prime example of that, and I'm
Mm.
sure she will be able to share some of her experiences as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I must say that's the icing on the cake for me. The fact that you get to work and to reduce your fees. Because at the end of the day, the reason why one would travel to India is to study. And then again, you'll be thinking about the scholarship thing. Okay, you have a reduction already, and now you further can reduce your cost. And of course, whatever you earn from home may be used to attend to your accommodation and some of the other things that you may want to, enjoy in India and all of that. That's absolutely amazing for me. So let's talk about continents. Your focus so far over the years has been on Africa. I mean, aside the establishment from in India, why choose Africa? Why not Asia, Europe, Antarctica, Australia, specifically Africa?
It's very interesting, Barry, that you asked that, because first of all, let me clarify one very important thing.
Mm,
Edoofa is not a charitable or philanthropic organization.
right.
It is definitely a social organization, but
Abs-
a social for-profit organization.
Mm,
And like all social entrepreneurs, the reason you build a social business is to create the maximum impact for the most underserved populations.
mm,
And it is right that our services are useful for students from anywhere in the world. You're
okay.
correct. Including in India, we feel a lot of our Indian students are benefiting, and we do serve Indian students. However, we realize that the opportunity to create the biggest impact, and this impact is largest in Africa for us.
Right.
We are excited by the tremendous opportunities that African people will have in this century
Mm,
because of its young population. And
exactly.
we realize that if this young population has to achieve great success,
Mm,
they need access to the best education and opportunities to upskill themselves.
right.
And therefore, we have decided to focus on African youth.
Mm,
Although, we are the largest of our kinds in terms of bringing international students to India, and we
exactly.
currently have over 30 countries from where our students come. We have decided to bet really big on the future of African youth,
Mm,
and I think that ties in beautiful to your channel's vision as well, and
right.
indeed the Youth Week that you are celebrating.
Right. That's great. Still focusing on Africa. You recently visited our country here, Ghana. You got the opportunity to speak to the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, Right Honourable. Uh, is that something you do on a regular basis? Do you visit, these countries to have a one-on-one conversation with specifically high-ranked officials in the countries to further solidify and legitimize Edoofa? Because we all know how it is with people having a trust, with scholarship schemes. As you made mention of, we have unlimited knowledge on the internet. But you did that with Albais Ghana. Do you do the same thing with other countries?
Right, right. We do make an effort to speak to the High Commission attaches of all
Mm,
the embassies in India, like the
okay.
Ghanaian embassy in India, the Nigerian embassy in India,
Right.
the Zimbabwean embassy, and so on and so forth.
Mm,
But when we do travel, not only do we make an effort to reach out to the high-ranking officials, of course that's important,
mm,
but we also do a lot of work at the grassroots levels. Let me tell you, we've started a program in Zimbabwe where we are currently partnering with over 100 schools, and it is free of cost. It's a mutually beneficial program where the principals of the schools have tied up with us, and we are sharing a lot of knowledge from Indian education system, like the specific technologies that Indian schools are using, and those schools in Zimbabwe have started using and adopting that.
mm.
And in return, the principals identify the brightest students for us.
All
So it's
right.
like a win-win contribution,
That's great.
and we're doing a lot of work at the grassroots levels as well.
All right, super. I've been speaking to Mr. Angad Singh, director, founder of Edoofa. So, Mr. Angad Singh, you've given us an amazing, overview and interesting answers from you concerning what we need to find out, of course, for the benefit of our listeners. But let me switch to Valerie Rukobo now, a student, a benefactor, of Edoofa scholarships and what have you. So she can also tell us, because you're the director you've spoken, and let's hear from the applicants as well who benefited from Edoofa. Valerie Rukobo, are you there with me?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Great to have you once again on the show, and I'm very excited that you're going to be telling us firsthand information about your experience with Edoofa. First of all, where did you hear about Edoofa?
Thank you for the question. So, when I was doing my when I was studying and doing my ordinary and advanced level, I've always wanted to study abroad, and I've always been that person that always wants to look for opportunities, better opportunities other than being in my country.
Okay.
So one day I was just going through my Facebook and I saw an advertisement from Edoofa, and I contacted the contact details that were given, and then the counselor then reached out to me, and from then they started talking to me. I mean, they guided me through the counseling sessions and everything, and since then I haven't looked back.
Right, and you haven't regretted, I believe, eh? Great.
Mm-hmm.
But what made you choose Edoofa? Because out of your numerous searches online, you might have come across a number of them that may be even more tempting and juicy than Edoofa. But what made you go in for Edoofa?
Actually, what happened is before I chose Edoofa, I had found a place to study in the University of Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And then I chose Edoofa because it was affordable compared to the place that I had found back home. The amount after the scholarship and with the NYULN program was way affordable compared to back home. And also, if you are looking at other countries, I mean, if you're looking at US, Canada, or any other country, the fees for a year can be around $10,000 US. And that $10,000 with Edoofa is the amount that I can finance, even lesser than that, maybe half of the 10,000, I mean, around $5,000 is the amount that I can use to finance my education here and my living cost without any struggles.
Right.
And also the work exposure. I mean, I got an internship here, and the NYULN, there are some projects that I know that if I do, I will not find any other place or any other person who can teach me those skills that I can use to get a good career or get a very good job. So it's actually one of the main things that I actually liked about Edoofa. And also the fact that, you know, they were always willing to guide me. They guided me in choosing a very good course. I mean, I considered the fact that I wanted to do IT here.
Okay.
I'm doing my master's now in computer applications, right? And, you know, here in India, they are very good when it comes to that department as well. So it was very easy for me because I found Edoofa at a very right time for me when I was looking for that particular opportunity, and I just had to grab it. I couldn't let it go.
Absolutely amazing. And I've heard the fact that, you know, you applied to Edoofa, got the opportunity to travel to India. How has the transitioning process been for you? Studying in a new environment, you know, living in a new environment and what have you. How has that been for you? And how has Edoofa helped you shape that?
Actually, the application, right, to come to India was very easy. I mean, I had all the information I need from the counselors. They were always, you know, guiding me. It wasn't anything like stress. It wasn't stressful at all. They were very welcoming. So it made the whole application process easy. I mean, from the counseling sessions to the NYLN program, university interactions, where I had to choose the university that was very good for me considering my choice of course. So it wasn't hard at all to do the application as I always had the guidance that I needed.
Right. So upon your arrival, how have you blended in? How has it been for you? Did you take a long time to actually resettle and you know, retune your mind that you're living in a new space now? How has that been for you? Has it been very difficult? How easy has it been?
So upon arrival, the Edoofa team was already waiting there for me. I mean, the day that I came, other students as well came with me. And the team was actually waiting for us at the airport. So they guided us from the airport to the place where we were supposed to go and stay. And also, it was a very welcoming place. I mean, everyone was so welcoming. I felt really loved. I felt so welcome. I met some nice people, some amazing people. I made some friends. And even at school, you know, it was just a very nice experience all in all. And it's still a nice experience.
All right, super. I'm glad that you're having a wonderful time at Edoofa. And you're telling me this because you're telling other people, other listeners across the globe, especially our African people, to make it an effort to look out for Edoofa rather than any other scholarship scheme out there. How optimistic are you about the future? If so, why?
So I'm very optimistic about my future because when I came here, I wasn't even having plans of doing my master's back then, and with the guidance of the Edoofa people, I changed my mindset. The whole experience changed my mindset. I got an internship here with an Indian company.
Right.
And I've learned every sort of skill that I need for my career. And I think I'm way good to go now. And now I'm doing my master's. All those things are not the things that I was thinking of back then when I was home, because it just started as I was applying for my bachelor's degree, right?
Okay, yeah.
And now looking back and seeing all the things that I've done,
how far
I feel
you've
really
come.
good, and I'm very optimistic about the future. And I know that I'll definitely be successful one day.
Absolutely. I believe you're in good hands, especially with Mr. Angad Singh in the midst of it. But thank you very much, Valerie Rukobo from Zimbabwe, for sharing your experience with us, and of course, making it more, enticing for people to get on board. Let me get back to Mr. Angad Singh so we can wrap it all up real quick. But thank you for joining us once again, Valerie. Mr. Angad Singh, are you there?
Yes.
All right. I mean, thank you for spending this time with us. I have learned a lot, and I can tell you for a fact, just mark the name Barry, the next scholarship applicants you hear from Ghana would be from my family. I'm giving you my word. Yes?
That's awesome. We're very happy to serve.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us on the Africa Daily Show, and we hope to continue with whatever good relationship that we have built since the beginning. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to Valerie.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you.
I love Africa Global Radio.
Okay, so you actually had an interview that by Musa, my co-host, actually had earlier with Mr. Angad Singh, the founder and the director of Edoofa Education, and then you had one of the beneficiaries coming from Zimbabwe, Valerie Rukobo. Now, if you enjoyed and you were really interested in what you had, you can do well to reach out to Edoofa, and if you want to find out how to do that, just go and follow them on their social media pages, Facebook and Instagram. You can learn more about the program. Now, if you want to apply, first go and visit the website www.edoofa.com. Edoofa is EDOOFA. EDOOFA. Or you can drop a message on their WhatsApp number on +91 729 2066328. +91 729 2066328. I do have my co-host with me here in the studio. Hi guys. Have any of you ever had a scholarship?
I think, scholarship schemes is not about having, it's about getting to apply.
Okay, did any of you ever apply for one?
I think I have never applied, but I know a couple of people who actually applied, and yeah.
Did you?
Me? No. I'm thinking about it actually.
Oh, okay.
You're
Who would
thinking
you
about
apply
Edoofa
with?
already, yeah? She's thinking Edoofa already. India. I know you're thinking Edoofa. I can feel it in my bones.
Really, but I think it was good. I mean, I think
Yeah.
particularly looking at making tertiary education or university education affordable, accessible, and then ensuring that it is quality. Half of the
Yeah.
time, we tend to trade quality for affordability. If it's affordable, then let's show the quality out of it. But Edoofa is doing a different thing and then putting in great things. Last remarks before we actually wrap up, because we're moving out of time.
Right.
Yeah, so quickly, I think Mr. Angad Singh and his co-founder, I think they set out to, start out to mold the next generation, young hearts and minds of the next generation. But it looks like they've ended up fulfilling a lot of dreams with their approach. One, if you look at, what exactly they are doing, with Edoofa, you realize that one, providing a steady opportunity in India for young Africans. I mean, for young Africans that have never had a travel experience. I mean, this is big. I mean, getting to enjoy a particular culture, different scenery. We are talking about the weather, the food, the language, everything, and doing that while interacting with fellow Africans from different parts of the continent. I know he didn't mention it, but right there is social capital. When you eventually graduate, yes, people from different parts of Africa you can actually engage with once you are out when you graduate, and you are able to establish some form of connection. And thanks to Edoofa, you are able to do that. I think, and also the fact that they are able to provide, employable skills in the digital space is also huge. And for me, I think that's futuristic thinking. Yeah, because last year with COVID and everything, we were shown what life would be like if the normal life as we know it is interrupted. People had to change the way they do things in terms of education, in terms of entertainment, in terms of access to healthcare, basically everything. Now, for those that are digitally inclined, we saw that everyone hopped onto whatever virtual space they could afford and be able to use it. And if you're not tech savvy, well, you were going to have trouble. But here's the thing, with Edoofa, it's giving a lot of Africans a head start in that futuristic world, and I think it's massive what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Hafiz. Barry?
Yeah, I think it's a laudable program. It's an amazing thing. And what I really, my take, out of this whole thing is about the end while you learn, because you get to, earn income, not by cash, but a system where it further, reduces the scholarship, scheme and everything. So for me, I think that's really, really laudable. Unlike, other European countries, as Mr. Singh mentioned, you get cash by getting paid and all of that. But this is the case. You came to India for a reason, and then you're working, you get that opportunity, that experience, that internship, and then not just that, but you get paid, which actually tends to, further reduce your scholarship thing that you've been awarded. So I think it's an amazing thing and very laudable, and I think everybody should really give it a shot. You might be that lucky one. Yeah.
Okay. Miss Maud, thank you, Barry.
Yeah, what I took away is he said quality education should be accessible to all and not a privilege for a few. And I think that is very true. We sometimes you're here, you want to do masters, but the price is so high, and this is somebody who's fresh out of the university. And most people would like to do masters straight out of university, but look at the cost involved, and you're like, no, let me work for a little while. You're working 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. By the time you have a little money, the masters has to take in this.
Really? Okay, sure.
Because then
time and experience have given you
because then you have gotten used to the world of work. It's like going back to school
is something else. Yeah.
So if this is given an opportunity to graduates, especially with a scholarship, to be able to further their studies right out of school, I think is great. And what I love, one other thing I love is how they are giving their students, how they are teaching their students to acquire 21st century job skills. We find ourselves in a time and space where you come out of the university, all you know is theory.
Yeah.
So you enter the world of work and you ask, can you do this, can you do that? And you're lost. And this is a world where before you apply for a job, they're looking for somebody with 3-4 years experience already. So then you're learning and you're acquiring skills so that when you actually eventually enter the world of work, you know what you're about. I think it's a great initiative. It is, like Barry said, it is laudable and all the best. They should continue to do great things. They should continue to churn out great people who will come and develop the African continent and put Africa where it used to be. And I'm hoping I can get my brother to apply.
Okay,
and me myself.
Okay, so thank you so much. So, for those listening, once again, if you are interested and you want to be able to apply for this, just go check out their website, www.edoofa.com, edoofa.com, or you can drop them a message on WhatsApp on +9172 920 66328, +917 292 066383. Now you can join and enjoy the wonderful scholarship. You can also find Mami Abba there if you actually apply. You get her and then her brother. You make good friends, Just which Barry's family member? Okay, we actually have a plethora of people that actually are trying to apply. So do want to go to the website www.edoofa.com to apply. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the discussion.